Dickey, say this bottle is a puny little ant. Did that hurt?
No.
Well, how about this one?
How about this one?
No. Well, no.
How about this? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dimlits.
We're lit.
Where we
That's
are
dope.
not the brightest bulbs in the box.
We're brighter than the lamp.
This is the podcast we talk about DreamWorks movies. Nope, Pixar movies. Oops. I'm still thinking about his comment. I'm like, DreamWorks. No, that's wrong.
Do you want to start over?
I'm not
ago.
projecting.
That's a long time ago.
You want to start over?
No, I think we can keep that.
Okay, then.
Great.
And today we're on the
It's
second
fine.
movie
We're
of
fine.
Pixar, which is often considered a black sheep in their catalog, just because it's just such an oddity compared to what we've
I'm
come to
surprised
expect.
it's not green and brown.
When
How do we fire him?
Well, because the character.
We gotta start-
Brown.
we got to start interviews for the new podcast person.
Are you watching the same movie? You're not like the
Except for-
grasshoppers and the ants.
The ants are like blue and pink.
No,
Like,
they're not.
yeah.
Oh wait, they kind of are.
Actually, they're purple,
Yeah, they actually
Purple?
are kind of blue.
at least to my eyes.
They're like a purplish bluish,
Maybe-
and then the female ones are like a pinkish.
Maybe I'm.
Are they really?
I think it's very soft, I think.
Maybe I'm colorblind.
You hear a lot of things.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. So, A Bug's Life, if you didn't guess, came out in November of 1998, was not the big hit that Toy Story was, but still made a good amount of money and destroyed ants.
oh,
DreamWorks' attempt to one-up them by releasing it the same year, just before it.
I was gonna say which one came out first.
Ants, they pushed to make it come out first, DreamWorks did, and it's
Interesting.
not as good of a movie as A Bug's Life. And A Bug's Life is a fine movie, just
I mean, it
Again,
doesn't get tied. It's like the forgotten title of Pixar.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
It's such
I'll say
an
that.
it's an oddity. We've seen the characters in like one or two other properties as like a cameo.
Really?
Toy Story 2, the outtakes.
Oh,
And like nothing else other than like attractions at Disney World. I think there's a
I
bug one.
love the Bug's Life. My parents took me there all the time. That was such a good one.
yeah, so it's one of those things that just it's not really a franchise at all. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not that it wouldn't work as one, it's
It
just
could.
it's nice to have one that's not a franchise.
Are you ready for this?
it would kind of be an interesting
I was
kid
about to
show.
say in a couple weeks, or in a couple years. I meant let's see them bring it back.
So, without further ado,
Read your synopsis, buddy.
A Bug's Life. Flick is an inventive ant that has trouble fitting in with his colony.
God, that sounds so familiar.
With a group of grasshoppers constantly coming to collect the ants'
What
food,
could that be?
Flick comes up with an idea to enlist warrior bugs to come deliver his colony from the bullies after a huge mishap. Instead, he comes across a circus troupe.
I'm not
If
gonna
anyone is wondering, yes, this is basically Seven Samurai.
lie.
Except the twist is they're circus bugs.
No way.
And that's
Nuh-uh.
that's what I wanted to
That's
kind of
not
mention.
true.
What I wanted to mention was how when you get, I know I'm jumping right into it, but
Let's go, baby.
when
Let's
you
get into
to
this.
that point of a movie, because it's a liar reveal plot, one of the
Yeah.
most overused story devices. When we
Pretty
get to that
common.
moment where the lie is revealed, everyone is really upset that he lied to them, which is understandable.
Mhm.
The funny thing is, it's like, what does it matter now that they're circus
Because
bugs?
they're loved.
You like them, and you have a good idea to get rid of the grasshoppers.
Doesn't
Why
that come
does this-
after the reveal, though?
Now, they've already built the bird.
That's right.
They're celebrating.
Yeah.
And then then PT comes by and blows the lid off the thing, and it's like,
Mhm.
what does... Yes, he lied, and that's not okay. Also, what is the problem with them being circus bugs and like, why are we not using the bird now? Like, we're just gonna pretend none of this happened. It's like, but why?
That's a very.
I never understood that. Why is it such a big deal?
I never thought about that until you said something. That
if it was there is no bird and they're expecting them to fight, and then it comes out, oh, they can't. That's different. It's like, okay, yeah, we got nothing, but they have something. That's what I never understood. It's not super weak and it's not a plot hole. It's just like why is this a problem?
I feel like if they would have came to this lie reveal earlier and they would have done it before they came up with any solution, it could have been more interesting and it would have had more impact on the actual story.
They have a plan in place.
Yeah.
Why is it such a big deal? You've already accepted them beyond them being like here as hired help.
Mm-hmm.
They're part of the colony at this point. They're all beloved now by everyone.
Yeah.
It's just weird how that the whole story hinges on they have to leave before the grasshoppers come to set up the third. That's basically is when the third act starts.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking on this rewatch, like, why is that such a big deal?
Huh.
Like as a kid, it was like, oh yeah, they're circus bugs. And then I was an adult, it's like, so what? Well, who cares?
That's a really good point.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Jake?
Other than that's just how liar reveals work.
Yep.
And there's a reason we're all very tired of them. Like there's got to be something for them to be mad at Flick about and something for the colony to be mad at Flick about so that he can persevere and become the hero. And then everybody accepts that's just how it works. And for whatever reason, they decided not to try to make it different. Unless you consider the fact that the ants then didn't trust that the circus bugs knew what they were doing and began to doubt whether or not the bird thing would work.
That's true.
Yeah, I would have thought that would have made more sense to
But they could have said that in a 2-second line.
It's just one of those things. It's like this.
I just don't.
The movie is serving the plot, not the other way around. It's the same as Madagascar 3.
Oh boy!
When they buy the circus.
Hey, for that circus.
Again, it's a similar thing with like this doesn't make sense in the logic of this movie. We don't have to think about the logic of a kids movie in that way. But when it comes down to this is pointless. They're literally doing this for the sake of the plot, not the plot working for the movie. So, and A Bug's Life is better than Madagascar 3.
Oh, absolutely it is. Absolutely.
But this is a thing where it's like, this whole movie hinges on this moment. And I hated watching it as a kid, that part.
Really?
Because you're not supposed to like that part.
Well, no.
It's sad. The jig is up. Like,
yeah, it's
and I remember as a kid, I would cringe or like look away because I could not stand
when you see PT rolling and it's like, oh no, oh no, oh no. Like the amount of dread that you feel when you see him is like, oh no, just No,
I have not felt that amount of dread since Metroid Dread.
I thought you were gonna say Judge Dredd.
This is a dreadful conversation.
Yikes.
That was almost a Dickey style joke. So,
yeah, that's just what I know. I let off with a heavier hit.
No, that's a good point, though. I wonder
when that is the movie. When the movie is all about that. And it's also the comic misunderstanding of course, it's just neither side really gets out what they think is going on until it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when that happens, I'm like, okay, I see how they did it. It's not bad. It's kind of a sitcom trope, which works in a half-hour thing. But for them, it's like, well, he thinks, oh, they're warrior bugs. Then they think, oh, this is a gig. And then as it keeps going, it's like, okay, I feel like there are other things that do this in movies that are more clever and funnier. But this is still good. It's fine.
Oh, it's still.
A couple of times where I was laughing, I'm like, okay, yep. That's actually pretty funny how they think this is a performance until that like pageant thing that the kids put on is so funny.
It is very.
We drew you dying because our teacher said it'd be more dramatic, and they all look over at Heinrich and he's horrified.
Yeah, I was like, oh. And honestly, whoever's brilliant casting mind wasn't to have Dennis Leary as the ladybug.
Oh, dude, his face terrifies me.
Out of
What's the ladybug's name?
10. Francis.
There you go.
And especially it's just everything about that is so funny. It's so fantastic.
It's a good voice cast.
They
usually have a great voice cast because we don't need to talk about Hopper.
We know what happened to Kevin Spacey.
Yeah,
so.
well, we didn't have to say his name. It's just we didn't have to. It's like everyone knows. Like,
just in case anybody forgot, that is Kevin Spacey. And
Dave Foley is one. It's such a weird choice for the main character because I like Dave Foley. It's just you'd think they'd go with someone bigger because Dave Foley at this point, from my understanding, Kids in the Hall. That's the only thing I know him from pre-Bugs Life.
I wouldn't have.
Because the only other thing outside of Bugs Life and Kids in the Hall that I know is Sky High. He's their teacher.
He's a teacher.
He's the sidekick teacher.
Yeah.
Mr. Boy. Like that's just what's funny. Like Dave Foley fits the character perfect, and there's
he's great in that role.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, like I'm surprised they didn't go for a bigger name because they got some fairly big names in here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like for when your first movie has those two who were huge in the 90s, and Tom Hanks is still big. It's just.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two massive names as your main characters. And then here, Dave Foley is your main character. Yeah, and then Julia Louis-Dreyfus is...
she's obviously massive at this point.
I'm just looking down. It's just...
And a young Hannah Panettiere, too.
Yeah.
It's a Disney star.
Yeah, Phyllis Diller, famous comedian.
I don't know.
It's the voice, just... No one else sounds like Phyllis Diller.
That is very, very true.
Richard Kind is hilarious as Mole. He's my second favorite performance this way. The first is John Ratzenberger as PT. He's just crazy in this.
He always is.
And of course, Niles from Frasier's. And another thing on this channel.
Wow.
He's slim. And I messed up the parentheses there.
Yeah, hey, bud, you got a little typo there in your binder.
But I mean, David Hyde Pierce is great.
Slim is hilarious in this.
I'm the only stick with eyeballs.
That's what I'm trying to remember what was going on, like when they were like flying up really quick in the tree, like I'm over here. It's like you gotta find it. It's fantastic.
And
honestly.
He's like, what part can I play for the Robin Hood thing? And my sword, whoosh whoosh, clang clang.
I feel like there's a lot of like just random deadpan humor that just is. It hits so well. I don't know how and why they thought it would fit, but it does.
And you still got the early Pixar, just the way like people call each other stupid and idiot.
I know.
Because it's like, what kind of bug are you? He's a stick, stupid. You hit bugs with it. No, that's an oversimplification. You're right, kids like this. It's Heimlich with him, and I'm just like, that's funny.
Yeah, you're right. Early Pixar does just have that charm. It's just like, I don't know. I'm trying to put a finger on it. I can't. It just has some certain magic.
It's in the writing and the voice acting. It's just that combination. They have characters. At least early on, we'll get to, the 2010s are when things change, and it doesn't mean they have bad characters. Something changes. It becomes
I think
not even more commercial, just different. I don't know what it is.
I feel like they put the message before the characters, if that makes sense.
I can believe that. That's actually you made a good point. Did you hear that?
Where's the calendar? Where's the calendar?
I can make good points. Like I feel like in the early Pixar years, like they really like you think about Woody, you think about Buzz, you think about Flick, you think about Lightning McQueen, you think. But
how is Lightning McQueen in that list?
I'm not.
But still,
I'm not connecting the point.
He goes.
You had it and you lost it.
He goes for Lightning McQueen before he goes for Jesse, or
Mike and Sully,
or Pa,
or Marlon.
I had to sneak it in, but I'm just saying.
Oh, so it isn't
Marlon. You know who Marlon is?
No, I know.
Well, what was that face?
That was my. Yeah, I can't believe Dickey would do that.
Okay, I thought you were making like a
and then it became he did that intentionally. Isn't that stupid?
But anyway, I just feel like, and which is interesting because like I think that skipped A Bug's Life. I don't think you have like you think of the pantheon of like super major Pixar characters. None are in Bug's Life, and none are really in the later ones because I think they just put their message and their themes over creating memorable characters.
Yeah. And it matters how it's handled too.
It absolutely does. It could have just been, sometimes you just get lucky and you get like a Toy Story 2. And sometimes you think you get everything together and it's just A Bug's Life, where it's still really good, but those characters aren't drilled into your skull like in other movies.
It's funny to
think
that
ladybug. That ladybug will haunt my nightmares until the day I die.
And the beetle, Dim. I for some reason I just always remember him flying, and that's another just maybe it's not
it's a helicopter sound basically.
Yeah, maybe it's not
beetle.
Dim.
Yeah.
The blue beetle that they ride on.
That can fly.
Oh, the beetle. I was thinking the caterpillar.
Yeah. I was like, I'm a pretty butterfly.
My things. Oh, they're beautiful.
Okay, actually, that is maybe one of the ones that sticks with you. Like, and again, I don't know if it's...
Rest in peace, Joe Ranft.
Yeah, rest in peace.
He got in a car accident and died during the production of Cars.
Oh my God.
He was one of the creative minds at Pixar for those early days,
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Because, I remember, I don't know if it's their faces or if it's the lines, but something, it's still, it's not, when I think of, Woody or Buzz or, Lightning McQueen, those are, burned into the front of my skull, and I'm always seeing them wherever I walk, whereas things like the ladybug or I'm a pretty butterfly or the flying, Dim, those are imprinted in the back of my skull. My head is split up in that kind of way. That's how I remember those characters.
I think what Dickey is trying to say is that A Bug's Life greatest sin is that it followed up Toy Story.
So the point you were gonna make.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember this one coming out too. I'm only 4, but I still remember.
You remember that? You were 4 years old.
I do remember it.
I remember the trailer. The trailer used Baba O'Reilly, the Who song, because out here in the fields, we fight for our meals. I fight for my meals.
Oh,
I get my back into my living. You see? So I just remember that shot when they fly past Dot jumping on the leaf at the beginning of the trailer is where you'd hear the out here in the field. And I as I'm watching the movie, I don't know how I do this. I can see parts of the parts they show in the trailers. Oh, I can remember.
I do the same thing. I absolutely do the same thing.
I was 4. And I remembered this.
Maybe not when I was that young.
I was 12.
That checks out.
You old?
I was 12.
Now, were you still in your phase, Jake, with the I don't like this
I
animation?
totally was. This was still in the era of Pixar where I was like, I really kind of hate this. I don't want, because this came out 2 years after Hunchback. Yes. And around the same time as Tarzan. Or Tarzan 99.
Close to Tarzan.
Yep.
Year before Tarzan.
Came out the same year as Mulan.
So and Mulan is one of my favorite Disney. Is Mulan part of the Renaissance period?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Mulan is one of my favorite Renaissance period Disney movies. I still kind of I hate this. I don't like it. And that I would say that lasted probably until
yeah. There's a reason he made the binder.
Hey.
I'm guessing it lasted until Ratatouille.
You think the main the big Pixar stuff?
I'm guessing, was it WALL-E that broke the mold for you?
Oh, WALL-E's fantastic.
Or was it Ratatouille?
It was either WALL-E or Up. I'm not sure because Ratatouille I just saw a couple years ago.
Really?
Well, he didn't see Bug's Life till 2020.
Yeah.
I remember
Wow.
The whole reason this whole podcast exists. Are because we wanted to rank Pixar films, just me and him. But there were a couple he had to watch still because I had seen them all. So he had to watch them that he had seen. One of them was A Bug's Life. And after we ranked that, then we were going to do DreamWorks. Then we thought, let's go in order. And then that's when by then you were here. It's like, let's do a podcast. So it kind of all started with Jake watching A Bug's Life. Thanks, A Bug's Life. You started this podcast.
Woo! Now, if only you were more remarkable.
Yeah, it is. I think the best word to use is typical. It's not bad. There are good parts about it. It's just, unfortunately, the norm is so close to what this is these days with what they're aiming for that it feels unremarkable.
Yeah, it's not like I have a problem with it. Like, it's a fine movie. It's a better movie, I think, than probably. Well, I've not seen those two. It's a better movie than Onward. It's a better movie than Soul.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a better movie than Coco. It's better than Incredibles 2.
I agree on the Incredibles 2.
Again, we'll get to those for our
but
rewatches when we get there. But as of right now, I hold the same sentiment. We'll see how we feel down the line. It is just such an odd. Like, the more I think about it, it's like we're going to jump into Toy Story 2 next week. Spoilers. No. And like that's upper tier.
See,
and Monsters Incorporated is great.
It's just
Finding Nemo is a big one. Like, we're hitting a bunch of big ones after this. That's like, what is this movie kind of wedged in here?
It's the second one. It's greatest sin is that it follows
Toy, right?
It's not even
but it's not
compared to
it's a comparatively software.
It's hard because like you're looking at Pixar, which I legit think is arguably one of the best studios ever. When you just look at how many movies they put out and how many are fantastic, just like that. But of
course, that's gone down in the last decade.
Oh, sure it has, but like
exponentially.
But I just think in general, like when you look at like they made 25 movies.
Oh no, this is 26. They've made Elemental. It's just not released.
It's just not out yet. But like, and when you look at all of them, like I'd say like 75-80% of these are fantastic. Like, it's so hard to like when you just look at just a normal good movie to compare it to like the rest of Pixar.
Yeah.
I will say, when I say that I hated that style of animation, there is one of these movies that proves that rule for me. Because I actually really love it, and I really loved it at the time. Toy Story 2. I don't want to talk about it too much.
That's next.
That's next week. But that is the one that where I was like, I really like love this. I don't know why. I can't tell you why.
That's fair. I want to ask a question about the style of animation, because to me, one of the things that stood out about the animation style in this movie, water. I love the way the water droplets looked, the way the rain looked.
For the time, it's fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
But that's also me looking at it in retrospect.
And also, when you're that small, like when you're that zoomed in on things this small, of course the water is going to be bigger.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And you can get away with it not looking like what we think is water because it's less detailed. It's bigger. They can hold droplets in their hands. Mm-hmm. The textures also look better. It's just
the textures.
They're figuring it out, and that's just what happened. There's a 3 year gap.
You know what they did much better than Ants?
A lot.
We can go down the list. What are you thinking of?
Oh, I was going to say colors, and then they made the choice not to show human parts.
Yeah, we don't see humans at all.
Which was very smart, because I think the human parts in Toy Story were probably...
They're rough. They're not bad, though. They're not like ants.
No, but like, just in terms of...
I can't get over that. It's been over a year. I can't get over that.
Oh, you know?
It's pretty rough. But in terms of like just looking good, the human part was the worst in Toy Story, which I'm glad they ditched the humans entirely. Like, let's just make this about the things that you don't think about.
I was going to say, on top of the animation, I'm looking at the backgrounds and the background characters more, and I was noticing the crowd shots were pretty good. It's not just the same two things. There's a good, and I think the crowd effect was created, I believe, with Hunchback for Disney. Really? Because they had all those crowd scenes. I think that's where the technology originated for generating crowd movement.
It must have been the same tech. It must have been the same tech they used to do the Huns from Mulan.
Probably. I think I could be wrong. I thought I read that they had created something for that in Hunchback because of all the crowd scenes.
That's pretty neat.
So I wonder if that same thing was used. I mean, why not? If someone figures it out, why wouldn't you use it?
Oh, exactly. Especially if it's, I would absolutely keep using that.
Let's get done.
But I know we just mentioned the textures, but that's another thing that's just burnt into my skull, is just the way all the rocks looked. Like, I can't explain it, but it just scratches that itch.
The sound that the grain makes.
Yeah, the sound effects of the rain. That's what really just like, it really puts into perspective that they are that small. And that's how the rain would sound if you're that small.
There are also some good shots. The grasshoppers coming out of the fog is cool. When they're kicking kicking into the anthill. That was always
Mm-hmm.
that's a fun show. Like, there's good stuff in it.
There absolutely is. And I know...
Yeah. And what's the best part of the whole movie, you think? Randy Newman's music is really good.
I'll be
really
honest,
good.
It's probably fantastic. It doesn't stand out as much to me as something like Toy Story.
Well, yeah, one is just ingrained into culture, but this one, as I'm listening, like, I remember all this. There's so much character in that music.
There always is, but like that's the thing. Interesting.
Oscar nominated score, by the way.
Oh, nice.
But I also heard he reused some of his music from James and the Giant Peach.
I forgot about that,
which was
movie.
around the same time.
Oh my god!
I just
forgot about
rewatched
that
it too, and I was
movie.
listening. I go, oh, because I read someone say he reused some. I go, oh yeah, I think I can hear a little bit of it. Yeah,
that movie is an absolute
Fever dream.
fever dream is the right way to put it. It's good, but
That's
is
a
a
whole separate
fever dream. I know. That's a whole.
What animation studio did that?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I think it's on Disney Plus. It's Disney produced it. I think Henry Selick directed it.
Interesting.
He also did Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline.
Oh, that checks out.
Going back to reasons why I hated this style of animation, I have a big one for you. You ready?
Ready.
I think this was around the time Jimmy Neutron started.
You'll have such a big bone to pick with Jimmy Neutron.
I hate Jimmy. I don't know why.
So funny.
Shut
I
your
love
face.
it.
I love Jimmy Neutron.
And you guys also love these movies more than I do.
It's just funny. It's like, why are you picking on Jimmy Neutron?
I think it was because Jim.
What other theme song goes, this is the theme song for Jimmy Neutron?
I think it's because Jimmy Neutron was the first shift away from my favorite style of Nicktoons.
That's very.
I think that's my big bone to pick with it.
Very valid. I will say the animation style is that it's weird. It's weird.
I've heard the behind the scenes is wild.
Oh,
but
I
don't think anything specific has been said, so it's like, man, what is
I would
this
just
show?
love to see.
Anyway, Bug's Life.
Bug's Life.
Yeah, that's. I thought I had more notes. I think I covered them all. It's just an oddity.
I'm
gonna keep saying it just because I didn't think about it like that as a kid, of course. And then I got into those teen years, in the high school years, where you start thinking about this stuff more, I still counted it in that what people call the golden age of Pixar, as they've sectioned it off.
Is in the golden age.
And then it's like, what an odd movie. Even like Cars is considered a weird part of that era. But even it's not as weird as this.
Cars is considered in the golden age of Pixar?
Yeah.
Where's that cut off?
Most people
Wall-E?
say it cuts off with Toy Story 3. Yeah, but it runs Toy Story.
That's like half of the catalog, though.
I would say like between Toy Story 3 and Cars 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Toy Story 3 is the end of it.
I thought you were saying that's the start of the new one. I was confused.
No,
that's
Cars 2, they say, is where the first dip in quality happened.
Yep, that sounds about right.
And that's where they think, I don't know if it's been cut off. I just know most people say Toy Story 3 is the end of that first run.
That checks out. That makes sense.
Which, again, for the longest time, it's like, is Cars kind of the black sheep of this? And it's like, it still kind of is. But then, like, A Bug's Life just feels like a completely different thing.
It's not mentioned. Like, Cars, at least now, it's been memified.
It's a franchise.
Well, that has been memified with Ka-Chow and Owen Wilson.
With Ka-Chow and Owen Wilson.
But
I know I mentioned earlier, it wasn't... I misquoted because I said, it's not as big as Toy Story. It actually almost made as much money as Toy Story.
Really?
It does not seem like it.
I know. Well,
it's like a sleeper hit.
It made It made $31 million less.
Dude,
worldwide.
did you see?
That's it.
This is really interesting. I want to point this out because this is in Jared's binder. The budget skyrocketed.
$90 million more.
Because they realized it worked. That's why it looks so much better.
Wow, that's interesting.
But then you start turning the pages, and they get bigger. And bigger and bigger.
Toy Story 2 budget went back down a little bit.
Not the budget, the box office.
Oh, the box office. I was looking at the budget.
Bigger.
Just because I thought the budget was so interesting. Like after the Smash.
Nemo almost making $1 billion.
Oh, yeah. After the Smash, it was like, give them money, give them money, give them money. Yeah, it's super interesting. But, yeah.
Yeah. That's all I really got to say. It's a childhood nostalgia thing. It was really hard to look past the nostalgia while watching. It's like, I just remember this so well. I remember this being longer as a kid because it flies by now.
It flies. It's a short.
I think I always, about like every childhood movie, I always think, like, I think that about Lion King all the time. Like, man, I thought this was like longer, like 2 hours.
Lion King does feel long, but it's not.
It's like 90 minutes.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
There's like
Maybe it's 'cause
86.
so much happens in it. There's so many like iconic scenes, which maybe for this I don't think there's that many iconic. Like the bird to me always stands out, but
you were asking me like where I kind of like started latching on to Pixar and like accepted I think the first one, looking at this list, based on this list, because I did watch them a bit out of order. I think the first one that truly genuinely connected with me was Up.
And that makes sense. That's a lot of people's favorite or a big connect one.
There's a lot to pick from. I think Toy Story 2 is one, but that's conversation for different.
Yeah. Do we have anything else to say about A Bug's Life?
I think I got my piece out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So next week we'll be looking at what, at least I think all three of us have said at some point, one of, if not their best.
That's my vote.
Which is Toy Story 2.
Oh, yes.
Considered the best in the franchise by many. For a while, it was the first movie, but a lot of people in the last decade have really pushed for the second one.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I'm getting close to on that train. I think this rewatch will put me on that train.
I'm surprised I've never seen like has there ever been a Toy Story like re-release into like the original one?
Wow, there is.
In the theaters?
I don't know.
I'm surprised.
There should be.
Because something like Lion King's been re-released like 5 or 6 times.
It would make a lot of money.
You would think Toy Story is just as pivotal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's next week.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Dickey, where can they find us? And
yes. So until next week, and even after next week, you can just keep following us at Off Slate on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. And oh boy, you guys, these two razz me for it, so I'm just going to razz myself. Our TikTok is hilarious.
Is that him leaning into the pettiness?
That is. I'm
kind of proud of him.
He's
right?
heading into the leaningness.
Slay, bro.
I'm going to slay as hard as I can, all right? Because I think I post our TikTok at least once a week, usually 2 if I'm feeling it. And I think it's pretty funny. So follow us at Offsite Media. And don't forget, we are on YouTube at Offsite Media. Like, comment, subscribe. Please leave us comments if you like what we do, or if you don't like, we just like to hear feedback. And listen to us, our audio version, on Stitcher, on Google, on Spotify,
on Dasher, on Prancer. I think I did the joke last time.
Did you really?
I think so.
Nice.
he does
also
this
on Apple. But I do want to mention, please give us reviews. It just bumps up our ratings and it makes us look better. So we can eventually, hopefully, sell ad spots and be monetized. But that may be a long time in the future. So that's where you can listen and follow us.
Thank you, Dickey.
You're welcome.
And thank you all for listening. We hope you liked our thoughts on A Bug's Life. And we will see you next time. Have a good one.
Bye.
Convio.
We're creating it immediately.
I just want everyone to know that this was Dickey's idea.
I'm scared.
My voice is getting a little raspy.
As you spent the better part of 2 hours yelling at us. The boar's head.
That better be level. That better be.
It never is level.
It is. It is. I
Never level.
You want to look at it?
Cut loose chartreuse
Bind
like
the
a
money.
bug's life in the night.
I'm fine.
Okay. No.
There's no way this is not level.
Okay. Okay, we believe you.
No, you don't.
I just said we believe.
That is correct.
See, that's why we don't need another take. I nailed it.
The boar's head.
Such a stupid gag. I love it.